Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the 11th Veterans Day. And you can see that we're starting now to get this separation on the Power Mode 2, which is expansion phase. And you're seeing that obviously reflected in price already. We had the positive extremes, filled in those back. We had a little bit of the weakness that was taking place there, but we also recognized that there wasn't enough strength from a short position or anything, or even a fade off yet of red DOC, and that was going to cause anything to stop. We just had gotten a bit overdone, and they pulled back into it, filled that back in just the other day, and we're still moving across. So I don't think anything's changed. I don't think anyone's seeing anything fundamentally that's disrupting the outcome of the election at this particular point. So market's just going to continue to do what it is, with the expectation that there's going to be continuation of liquidity from the Fed and that. So that's not going to impact the market one way or another, at least at this particular point. It's only if there's something that throws everything into chaos. From a NASDAQ standpoint, again, a little bit weaker, had filled it in. They're not in the positive extreme category any longer, so easier to follow. But you can see a very clear difference between Power Mode 2 readings for the NASDAQ compared to the ES. The DOC is a little bit closer, but almost closer to a DOC spread, because you've had a flatlining of that red DOC. So again, I think the NASDAQ is going to be the leader in this particular case, and as it goes, so will the broader market. From a Euro standpoint, again, the Euro's been propped up mostly through this because of the central banks, and obviously with the election situation, it really caused a spike going forward. But they're going to have a tough time maintaining it, because now, like even in most of Italy here, re-emerging lockdowns, Spain, everywhere else, and that is just going to have a devastating impact on growth. And with the U.S. still continuing to move, it's just not a whole lot of justification for euro at this value. And of course, gold, once you have that situation where the idea of a split government means excess, liquidity as far as new money's paid out is going to be much tougher to come by. Well, your inflation fears and that just plummet. So it certainly had that significant impact. From an intraday standpoint, we had a lot of good action taking place. So from the start of the day, of course, we watch for these DOC setups, either with the orange dip below, coming off of a pretty good decrease there. You're really kind of waiting for that flattening of the long-short algo right here, along with that once green gets above cyan. Usually you've got your push that's going to take you. In this case, it did just that, but something I wanted to point out, when I'm looking for in these DOC setups, like particularly when I've got a DOC spread with our magenta candle, I'm really looking for those spots where I then get that steel that's been above cyan dipping back below, with orange also crossing above, and you'll find those will be the most expressive points for the turnaround. So while it's not a bad move from the DOC standpoint, where it recognized that steel was below cyan, and that it much more powerful when you have that from above down below, and I kind of marked that. And again, similar situation, like further along, even within this red cycle, we had a little bit of a pop with the green spiking above. Nothing wrong with that from a long standpoint, but again, it's that steel dips below and your orange has crossed above it, as well as being above the cyan, and that led to it wasn't a very long run to the downside, but it was nonetheless still the equivalent. And likewise, same dotted line, same configuration, steel crossed below, orange above, you've got green below red, and in this particular case, flat to neutral long-short algo, so it makes a difference from that standpoint. Again, similar situation right here, DOC spread, cyan goes above, and you'd already had the steel cross below and orange above. It actually took place the bar earlier. So just depending on your preference, at that particular point you didn't quite have green, low red, but it was trending lower at that particular particular spot. So these become helpful, particularly when you're looking at one of these Crazy Ivan spikes here on the Power Mode 2, pointing to the fact that you had a positive integer go negative cross back above, which means that you're going to get an acceleration to the downside at that particular point. Likewise, again, right here, same dotted line, orange above, and it's much cleaner. And you'll find that the cleaner they are, the more effective they become. It's not to say that the other ones aren't great; they're just not in the same perfection and say clarity. Particularly when you have red falling, green falling, you already have a separation between the two. It's just an augmentation, and sure enough, that one led to a significant move lower. Then we get to a situation where you have, from buy configuration, green above, and then you get your DOC spread right there. But again, look at this steel orange configuration. It goes the opposite direction, where you have steel crossing above, orange coming below. That's a bullish configuration as opposed to the opposite negative. And then even here, where you get the subtlety of the steel dipping below, orange is above, but you can see that it's not in that same construct of being above red. In this case, you have cyan below, which we already know is always a buy in that. But what it points to, though, is the opportunity to take the dips and recognize that you have an opportunity to either add into those or even ride them a little bit further. And it just continues to play out. You can go through it and just mark them going all the way across in the inverse of it. Like right here where the steel is crossing back above and you get your upswing. And so it just depends on how active from an intraday standpoint you want to be. Where we are right now, we had a brief little dip, turnaround move, and just been a little bit choppy, but for the most part, once we got cyan under red, it stayed pretty clean. And even when you've had the move back above, we've got complete steel resets at this particular point. So no desperate change at this particular point of the up move that's taking place currently. So I hope that breaks it out further. It's just a bit more complex when you're trying to accommodate all the variations programming-wise and get everything to work together. But generally, from a visual standpoint, it makes it much easier to just recognize those key moves and be able to react to it from there. As always, though, I will put up any relevant details on Skype chat. Trade well.